Hello, welcome to another episode of the Algebra Hour. We are still on complex number and we simplify complex number. Here, this is a distribution. Remember, distribute is another way to say sharing. In this case, we want to share this 2i with all the terms in the parentheses, which is 2i times 5 become 10i, then 2i times I become 2i squared, which is equal to what? Everywhere I see I squared, I turn it to a negative 1. Everywhere I see I squared, I turn it to a negative 1. So now I have 10i plus 2 times negative 1, which is 10i minus 2, and which become minus 2 plus 10i. This was for the first problem. Second one, we have 1 plus 3i squared. What's the approach here? Remember, a squared is a times a. So I need to rewrite this twice. It's 1 plus 3i and 1 plus 3i. The distribution process can start. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 3i, 3i. 3i times 1 is 3i. And 3i times 3i is 9i squared, which is equal to what? 1 plus 6i plus 9 minus 1. Remember, everywhere I see I squared, I turn it to a negative 1. It's equal to 1 plus 6i minus 9, which is 1 minus 9 plus 6i, which is negative 8 plus 6i. This was for the second example. Next example, it's a very interesting one. We have 5, 2 plus I. So when we want to simplify this kind of expression, we have a fraction and we have a I at the bottom. Remember, the final goal is to end up, we write a complex number on this form. Z equal A plus BI. When you have an expression like this, where we have the I at the bottom, we want to think about the conjugate. If Z equal A plus BI is a complex number, Z prime is the conjugate, and it will be A minus BI. In this particular case, we will multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate of this. I'm giving an example. So if ZA is, let's say, 3 plus 2i, what will be the conjugate? It will be 3 minus 2i. So in this case, let's call it ZB. If ZB is 2 plus I, what's the conjugate? Z prime B will be 2 minus I. So we will use the conjugate for this simplification. We will multiply the top and the bottom by the conjugate that we found here. So 2 minus I and 2 plus I, 2 minus I. Next, what do I have at the top? Distribution 5 times 2 is 10 minus 5i. How about the bottom? We can multiply each term, or we can just recognize that this is the difference of squares, so we will do a squared minus b squared. Or we can use another formula, but I will show that later on. Let's go with the difference of square. 2 times 2 is 4 minus I squared. It means that I end up with 10 minus 5i over 4 minus, what is I squared? Negative 1. So it's 10 minus 5i over 4 plus 1, which is 10 minus 5i over 5, which become, let's separate it, is 10 over 5 minus 5i over 5. Next, it's 2 minus I, and I'm done. Another way to approach this one, this conjugate, there is another formula which says that z times z conjugate will be equal to a squared plus b squared. It means for this case, we could just have done 2 plus I, 2 minus I will be 2 squared, which is 4, plus b squared, plus 1, which is 5. But that's if you remember this formula good. Otherwise, you can go with the difference of square. Thanks again for watching this video. Please make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment if you have any question, and be a good friend by sharing with a friend. Bye-bye.